How to repair the lighting fault on a Mk7 Transit Part 2. Well, that's indicator. If I put my foot in the brake, that light's not coming on anymore. Put it up to the other side. Same thing, foot in the brake, light's not coming on anymore. So it was a short circuit. I will link the video in the description to the guy I got the tip off of. Let's go and have a look at the tools we would need for this job. Right, as if by internet magic, since the last time we looked at it, I've put in those cables and put lots of heat shrink on them. Tools you need for the job: you will need some heat shrink, 2 different sizes. Those are tiny. I should have prepared this better, shouldn't I? Right. That's the right thin one, which I put over the individual cables. Then there's a fatty at the back. Quite a fatty actually. That I use to go over the whole thing. I think I'm going to put tape on that and maybe drop some epoxy resin into the terminals at the top. That's the worst camera work you've ever seen. Yep. Maybe put some epoxy resin in there to stop. I'd have to check epoxy resin doesn't conduct, to make sure water doesn't go back in. I think that's probably what caused it. So the tools: some fat heat shrink, some thin heat shrink. You'll need a flat bladed screwdriver to, there's a little tab, little tab on there, there's a tab behind it as well. You have to wiggle that about in either end. Sugar it, great Scottish word, until the multi-pin pops up the way. To get the light cluster out of this thing as well, there's a broken one. You have to push in these 2 black tabs and those 2 black tabs, and it should pop out for you. I made that look easier than it actually was. So tool wise, how far did we get? We know we need the 2 sizes of heat shrink. We know we need a pair of, we know we need a flat bladed screwdriver. One wider than that would be better to get into the little terminals. What else did we use? A pair of wire strippers, snips, some solder, and a soldering iron. I do a lot of audio work, so I'm okay with a soldering iron. I've made thousands of cables up over the years. If you are not okay using a soldering iron, I wouldn't attempt this job. Bad things about it were, as I said, the wiring on the original, I think that actually hooked up on the Ford. Yeah, I think it went that way. The wiring on the Ford, the wiring that comes with the van isn't the same colour coding as the wire you get with the kit. So that freaked me out a little bit. As you've seen in the first video, I tried it with connector strip first before I went and did the soldering. With the connector strip, when the 2 of them were held together, and don't use this as a reference, when the 2 of them were held together, it was quite easy to double check that side before I soldered it all up. That side, once I'd done it and checked it was working, I went back, stripped a bit of the insulation off each one, give it a little wind round, soldering them up one at a time, and slowly and carefully moved across them until I was sure all the cables were in the right order. If you haven't done any soldering before, don't do this job. I used a file as well, some of my solder joints got a bit fat and it was difficult to get the heat shrink over them, so I just gave them a little rub down with that. If you aren't very good with soldering, this is not a home job. It took me about 2 hours, I've never done it before. And it was quite fiddly, but it wasn't difficult. And think about it, if you do this job and mess it up, your vehicle isn't legal anymore. So be careful out there, guys. Skills, I would say you need a 6 or a 7 with the soldering, maybe an 8. And difficulty, maybe a 6 or a 7 again, if you're not familiar with this stuff. So if it's any use to anyone, great stuff. Thanks for watching. And as I said in the previous video, if you're doing a little household chore or a task and you've got a skill that you can put online to let other people see how to do it, why wouldn't you do it? Alrighty. I know, a flashing amber light, how happy does that make me? We're going to say, take care of y'all, see you later, bye. And the van needs a wash.